It's early, but just wanted to make sure I didn't miss it by talking and goofing. Uh, uh, I proposed to Aaron 6 months after we met, and we were married a little over a year after we met.
Yeah. So I met Kelsey September.
Well, but that doesn't count really, because didn't you go on mission for like 20 years or something?
This was after my mission trip.
Okay, then, but y'all met. I thought y'all met before. One of you two, or she went off for missions. One of
No,
you two left.
she went back home it's for the semester that she wasn't going to college.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, so because the
We were
college
on a break.
the college we went to they call it a track system. Basically, they have 3 semesters in the year, and you're assigned 2 of those semesters. They're just trying to be more efficient and pump out more students. So,
Gotcha.
so yeah, during her off track, she went back home. So for those 4 months, her off semester.
Okay. You have a 1d8.
I Yes. Let me pull out my box of dice. A D8. You said you need. Okay.
Joss.
Here we go. A 5. It's a
All
little
right.
blurry.
1, 2, 3.
Wonder why that's blurry.
Everything's getting a little blurry tonight. It's because just I found out last week that Joe's a crackhead apparently. So
According to Phil, I exhibit. What am I thinking of? I exhibit habits. I exhibit symptoms. That's symptoms is the word I was looking for. I exhibit symptoms of a crackhead.
that's can't leave you alone for 5 minutes, man. I tell you what. But
I will say this: I have never knowingly taken crack, or used crack, or however it's consumed.
dear Lord Jesus, help this poor young man find his way back to you.
This is Wise and Nerdy, where fatherhood meets fandom, baby.
That's what you rolled. Oh, I legit thought it was going to be Mike Woodard. That's what you rolled. Oh, I love it so much. So much.
Oh man.
Totally did not plan that. You rolled some dice. Quite the start, says Random Kid. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is indeed. Oh, I hope everybody has had a great couple of weeks. And as of this recording, we're about to hit the holiday weekend. But we don't do our show like that. So we're not doing like what's your favorite July 4th hot dog flavor? I don't know. You look like you have a favorite flavor. I'm just saying, Joe. That's,
Jalapeno cheddar bratwurst.
I knew you had a favorite flavor. It's not Sheets dogs. That's the only thing Phil will eat is Sheets dogs. So that's the worst. But that's not what we called it to talk about, man. We called to talk about, where's the question of the week? There it is. All right. So this is the question of the week. What's the one thing you bought that ended up being so essential to your daily life, you now wonder how you ever lived without it? Why did you say it, not her? I don't understand, Joe. All right. And wish you had discovered it years ago.
You don't buy people. Well, I mean, you do. I don't buy people.
Should we take a step back, sir, about how we became pod married?
Yes, Charles bought me. It happened. Get over it.
That's the really simple overview of what happened, but sure.
Oh, so I'll go ahead and start.
All right, because I'm gonna go look at myself in the YouTube mirror and see how I look.
And see how you look. You don't look fuzzy anymore. You've gone
I
fuzzy
think
a couple times, but
I
we'll be
changed some
okay.
settings on the camera and I must have turned off or turned on autofocus. So that might be it.
So what he bought was a camera that focuses all the time, every day, and he doesn't know how he lived out of focus. No. So for me,
wow.
this isn't actually something I bought, but was given I received from a white elephant, and it is a shower speaker. And so I absolutely love it because I can listen to a podcast or an audiobook or whatever while I'm taking a shower. And it's something small. It's but I adore it. It is wonderful. It is lovely.
I don't know because I resist doing things I know I want to do or should do, or I think, man, this will really be good, but what if it's not?
I know something that you use every day. That Keurig of yours. Or
Yeah, okay, yeah. No, you're right. That's it. You nailed it. But I won't finish my story anyway, okay? All right, cool.
you start your day every day with a double shot
here.
of Keurig.
Look, millennial, you need to understand your role, man. Give me a second. Gen X, we like to work our stories up, massage the message in there real good, and then smack it and send it on its way.
Massage the Keurig, and then give it a little rubber dubby.
Don't you touch my Keurig,
Pop
you dirty,
the top,
dirty boy.
Load it up, and smack it.
Look.
Get it started.
Last week's Patreon episode should have been called... I lost it. It's not Quakers. It wasn't the Quakers. It was...
Quakers?
No, it's not the
Amish?
Amish.
I don't know what
Amish
you're going for.
vasectomies. Last week's Patreon. So between cocaine and Amish vasectomies, I am not the dirty, dirty boy on this show. Okay, just saying. So, all right, no, look, I will put off doing something that I think will be good for me or work for me or make things smoother for my life, because there's so many times where I've like, oh, this should work and it doesn't. So my
I've got
wife
another
can
one
tell
for you.
No, stop it, Joe. Tell the story.
No, I got one.
Kelsey, come get your boy.
Squirrel.
Come get your boy, Kelsey. So my wife could go rattle off because there's so many times she goes, see, yeah, I told you just take care of that for yourself. And you like, I have a metal cup. I'm sure you got tons of them. It's easier to see from somebody else when they do something for themselves. But yes, the Keurig, when I discovered that at some office I worked in, they're still kind of expensive for a coffee pot, but they're not a coffee pot. I mean, yes, you can get a Keurig coffee pot now, but the pods, and you make the quick cup of coffee, and it does everything I need it to do. It is actually made it, we call certain things in the house, they go on the emergency list, and that's one of them. If the Keurig dies, that's one of those things where I go out that day and get another one, because you know why, Joe. it's needed.
Because needed. You don't need to be a wanted murderer.
Yeah, and yeah.
I've seen Charles before his coffee. He's ready to stab some people. Just saying.
Sometimes, and you know, I don't maintain a pot enough to really use those pots without breaking them. I mean, they just whatever. They overheat, cook, whatever. But also, I don't want to spend what you. I mean, I don't mind every once in a while going out and getting a coffee, but when you go get coffees from somewhere, even what about McDonald's when every drink's $1, that's still more than I'm spending on making my entire 22 ounce mug of coffee in the morning. You know, it really does break it down to doing it all yourself. So it made things more efficient and more affordable. And I dig that. What's the other one you have, Joseph?
Your office.
Okay, yeah. But you know what? Here's the thing, though. From the time that I got married, I've always had my own space. I mean, some of it we shared. So, like in our first place we moved into was a duplex, and so we had the master bedroom, and then the other bedroom had a desk and a bookcase for her to put her stuff on. I had my drum kit in there, so it's kind of a shared space. It was a dedicated space, so I didn't think about that because I've always had a dedicated space to do things in.
Because you can't live without it.
I mean, nobody likes to be around me all that much, apparently, Joe. I'm just saying. Yeah, it's all right.
Except Cookie Monster in the corner.
That's my boy over there. I would turn the camera, but then everything's going to go fuzzy again, so I'm not going to do that. All right. What is it? Is it this? Nope. That's the end of the show.
Roll the dice of destiny.
Fine.
Council of Dads.
Parliament of Papas.
Parliament of Papas!
Yes, little axe horn. All right, camera, stop getting fuzzy. Stop it.
Hot Fuzz. That's going to be your new nickname.
Yeah. All right, Taskmaster, tell me.
All right, so this comes to us from your favorite subreddit, Am I the Buttface? And it comes to us from a Redditor named Mountain.824. Says, Am I the Buttface for enforcing basic boundaries on my daughter's sleepover? And to premise this, they want to ask if their reaction was... If their reaction makes them the butt face, not necessarily what happened, but how they handled it. So let's get into it. I, 42 male, have 2 kids living with me. My daughter, Anya, 17 female, and my stepson, Noah, 14 male. Noah's mom passed a few years ago, and I've had full custody since. He's had a rough go of it. He's had a rough go of it, but he's a good kid with his quirks. He's not antisocial or shy, but he does not appreciate having his space invaded. And when very upset, he can kind of shut down. Anya is much more outgoing and has a lot of friends. She asked to have a sleepover this weekend with 4 of them. I said yes, of course, but given that the friend...
Okay.
Yes, 5 girls total. But given that the friends who were coming were pretty loud and have a tendency to crowd Noah, I told her to make sure they don't go into her brother's room, and to keep things down after 11 so that the house can sleep. So 2 rules. Reasonable rules, in my opinion.
Easy peasy.
Yep. So to my surprise, I came upstairs to check on them at about 10. They are 17, so all 5 girls are 17. I didn't think I needed to check on them every hour or something, and they were in Noah's room. And they looked like they'd been there a while.
Sister-in-law, huh?
Yep. 2 were literally sitting on his bed with him there. One of them was flipping through his sketchbook. Another was messing with his other stuff, and they were all kind of giggling in this weird way. Noah was clearly upset. He didn't say anything or move, but there were tears in his eyes, and he didn't respond when I tried to talk to him. I told the girls to get out right then, and that I was calling every single one of their parents. Anya was pretty upset with me, but I told her that I gave them 2 rules, and they failed spectacularly. I did actually call all of their parents and sent them home as soon as possible. Anya blew up saying I embarrassed her. I told her to go to her room and that we would speak on this in the morning. I spent about 20 minutes with Noah before he decided he wanted to cool down on his own, and I went back to my daughter, who chose not to speak with me. It's late. Both of my kids are hopefully asleep, and I'm left not knowing if I handled things right. Am I the butt face?
Okay. You're not the butt face for that moment. You're the butt face for not having built that relationship with your kid to get to that moment.
Explain.
So, young kids of mine always have pushed boundaries, right? We'll tell them not to do something, but from day one of them bringing over friends, we give them a few rules. One of them is, you know who we are. We don't put up with stupid, and stupid is as stupid does. It's not an intelligence level, although it can be. It is.
Yep.
It is more of, hey, no, we treat humans like humans, basically. No stinky sprays because it gives all of us headaches. We're a perfume-free house, and that's that's it. Respect human beings, treat everybody like human beings, and no fragrances. And somebody will always try to test that, either be it one of my kids or somebody else's. And we said we don't put up with stupid because we're going to say something. We might not send them home. We might not make a big deal, but we're going to call it out and make somebody feel bad about it.
Yep.
And somebody always tries, right? And so, but from young, I'm talking about 6, 7 years old, we built that relationship. So we make our daughter at 16 have somebody. She would bring her friend over who stunk. I mean, just bad, and we make it a point not
Like
necessarily to
BO or fragrance?
both.
Okay.
Like, yeah, just a mix of both.
So perfume covering up BO and a strong amount
Yeah.
of it. Okay.
Yep. And so we try not to embarrass people, but I've had to go, y'all can't. I'm not saying leave, but you cannot be in here. You know, go outside something.
Why
And,
don't you guys go play outside? It's such a nice day for you to air out.
you know, exactly, exactly. So we're stern, if you will. We're truthful, but it's like trying to be guilt free. And we try to get Crosby, in this case it was Crosby, to talk to her friends, this and that. And the other. My son at his 16th birthday, you know, whenever they turn 16, my wife does the last big hoorah party for him. And 21's a trip, whatever. But there was one of his friends that came in and was being a butt face, as you say. And I texted my son's like, man, this is your birthday. But he has about 30 seconds to cut that out, or I'm bouncing him. And I'm not trying to embarrass you, but this is your party. I'm not going to stand for him to do that to you. And my son handled it. Because we had always built that relationship. So that's a long-winded version of what I meant by you failed in building, because you always have a standard TV family relationship where your 17-year-olds, I hate you and you're embarrassing, and you're, you know, and we don't know all the emotions.
Their repertoire up until now lends to her pushing boundaries. She didn't respect. Yeah. She didn't respect the rules. And that speaks volumes to their history. That's what you were getting at.
Yep, because yeah, more or less, yeah. Because I mean, we always hear a story from one side, right? He may not even see how he came across or understood how heavy it was for him. But that's also where we use our words in my house. We make it super important. And I call my daughter out in front of her friends, going, "You," and like if this were the case, you had. Well, in this case, it's one rule because they weren't. He didn't say they were being loud and rowdy. So
well,
they
it wasn't even past 11 o'clock yet. So the other rule,
so it's really the one
even,
rule. So yeah. You had right now you only have one rule, and you couldn't even do that. Get out. Yeah, and I would have made them stand on the lawn while I lectured them while their parents were coming about how horrible of a human being they are, and I would have nailed my daughter. I was like, "This is your responsibility." So for her to be able to, that's why I asked the clarification. Oh, daughter and all. It wasn't like the friends just did it. Just a blatant disrespect of her father and of her brother. There's issues there.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think he said how long ago, a few years ago. So the mom's been gone for a few years. So theoretically, she was 14 when she lost her mom.
And we don't know if they got therapy, either one of the kids. You know, we don't know any of that.
And so that could be causing behavioral issues. Plus being a teenager, maybe some of those friends are bad influences. We don't know, but I personally think he handled it. This singular event, I think he handled it well.
I mean, if he's leaving out the swearing and the cursing and the punching holes in the walls, well, we don't know that. He left it out, right?
Yes.
But I agree with you. On the surface, on paper, that you handled it. You violated the one rule. And it's a personal human being rule, and you got to go.
Yeah. Well, and as far as ways to embarrass your kids, like obviously we don't know his actual words. We don't know his tonation. We don't know anything like that. But this is pretty mild for embarrassing your teenagers. It's not like it's not like it's your first date and he came to the door in a kilt with an axe over his shoulder and tells him, "You better have my girl home by 10 or whatever." You know, like this is pretty mild.
Worse, but I'll tell you that. But see, here's the thing too that I'm feeling on this one is you embarrassed me tonight really is saying something else to the dynamic of the family, because typically in situations like this, one of two things drastically happens. We don't really have it in the story here at all, but when a parent like that dies, and it's not like the second wife, because he said the son was a stepson, and I think that's the mom who died. I didn't catch.
Oh yeah, you're right. Noah's,
So we don't know if it's
you're right.
divorce. But there's obviously not, her mom's not there. We don't know why. But usually one of two things happens in those situations. When somebody like that dies and impacts people, the siblings, half siblings or not, come together tight, and the older one, especially female, will protect the younger one, or drastic hate each other, won't talk to each other because that was my mom, but that's my stepmom, and blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? It's usually one
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
two.
yeah.
And this is not describing either one. So when she says that she's embarrassed, I think she didn't know how to talk to her friends. I think she feels guilty about her brother and the triggering that's going on, but also possibly feels like she's unseen because what was the rule? Protect the brother. Who's more important? Because that's a human natural, especially as a teenager with little perspective. That's a human reaction to go, all you do is care about him. But I just let you bring four friends over. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't like don't interact with your brother or don't tease your brother. It was stay out of his room, stay out of his space. If he wanted to come out and interact with them, he could have, but he should have a space where he doesn't need to feel pressured
Right.
by all the crazy girls that are all of a sudden there.
But but this whole, well, I thought they were 17. I didn't need to check on them. Well, you thought you needed to make a rule about them, didn't you? And secondly, let me tell you, I don't care how old you are. You're in my house. I keep tabs, man. My daughter has her own space out the shed out by the river in the backyard. And even then, my wife will go out there every so often and check, and they're loud enough, which is great because you can hear them if you're in the backyard or whatever. Like not disturbingly loud, but we know everything's cool. And they're all really nice. The second somebody's not nice to one of the other siblings, we don't do something then. Nobody's overt, right? But they're obviously just. We have adult conversations with our kids, going, "That person's not cool, man." And they're not cool. And we ask them questions about how they feel, blah blah blah. But yeah, you check on them, Joe. You check on them. You got three boys, and let me tell you, if you leave 17-year-old boys to their own devices, you're gonna have a house burned down, sir. You better check on them. But yeah.
So I think
Oh, sorry, Bob jumped in.
we're unanimous. Not the butt face.
For that moment. But the
Yes.
butt face for everything else that led to that moment. That's my dissension.
Well,
What is that?
and when teenagers get together with their friends, they tend to push the boundaries even more than normal.
Yep.
And so yeah.
Man, none of us as humans ever want to come off as different typically, and especially as teenagers.
Oh, I'm weird.
Yeah. We all know.
Roll that dice.
It's your favorite.
Daddy, tell
Nope,
me a story.
That's not it.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob.
Bad dad joke.
All right. Well, let's head on over to Discord and see what we've got. All right. We have you're a chump. All right, we've got something from Tyler. The full run through says, my wife thinks I'm invading her privacy. She could have told me to my face.
Wait. Oh, wait, I forgot what segment we're in. Okay, carry on.
My wife thinks I'm invading her privacy. She could have told me to my face. She didn't have to write in her diary about it.
Too real though. A little too real.
Little bit. Why did Mary Poppins buy tissues in bulk?
I don't know.
For the super new infectious strain of chronic runny noses.
Wow. Is that supposed to be a play on
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious? Yes, it is.
Yes. Have you seen Chit? You kind of remind me of Chit a little bit. Oh, I'll send you a Chit video.
Okay. All right. We got one more dad joke. We gotta. Did you hear about the expert magician in Los Angeles who had terrible breath?
Something about halitosis.
They call him the Super California Mystic hexed
Why?
by halitosis.
Jeez, what did you watch That movie. Did you watch Guardians of the Galaxy and have him say I'm Mary Poppins, y'all? What triggered this?
We haven't reached number 2 yet. I don't know. You'll have to ask Tyler.
Wait. Oh, because you're doing. Guys, never mind. I know
These
why
are
you
from
haven't.
Reddit. These are from Tyler. But yeah, no, my kids are.
Yeah.
We're working through it with the boys. We finished Civil War tonight, so it's a good one.
Well, roll
good
it
one.
up.
Depending on the audience, that's a very different conversation. Rolling it up.
Yeah.
Nothing.
How do I?
Oh, what'd you put there, Joe?
How do I teach my kids to handle losing, whether in games or life?
Well, according to Phil last week, the world has agreed there's no more ARD, so they're already losing at life.
Wow.
Phil said it. I would never say that.
What a jerk, Phil.
Phil was a jerk. Yeah, Phil's a jerk. We're going to talk about that. It's okay. All right. But yeah, okay. So what do you do?
I would focus on the fact that losing does not make one a loser. The only time you become a loser is when you give up, because you don't have to stay in a losing state unless you give up.
Okay. The games one, we've all talked about having fun. Every game we played, and Crosby was very, very competitive. My wife hated this game, and none of us can remember the rules. But one night when I think at most Oakland was 6, that means Crosby was 5, we played slap fight, and it had to do with I was teaching them slapjack for a second, then one of them smacked me and thought it was funny, so then we started changing the rules and making it where you slapped each other on the arm and this and the other. And the rule was, because obviously I'm massive and they're little kids, like if you hit hard, I'm not going to hit really hard, but I'm going to match what you're doing, basically.
Match your energy.
Yeah. And Cosby, I mean, she would take it like a champ, but she would take a moment, go over to corner, hold her arm, and try not to cry, and she'd come back, and she would haul off the next time she got the slap, so I did as hard as she could. I'm like, all right. So we ended up self-ending that game, but she was so competitive that way to where Aaron wouldn't want to play any game with her. And I said, well, that's also a problem because we could tell her you have to win or lose gracefully and win gracefully. Or you can't play with this. And we just, because losers lose, right? That nobody wants to be around the people with those temper tantrums and get upset. So I wouldn't let her join in the games. Like, but I'd talk to her like an adult, even though she was 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. If you lose, are you going to be cool about it? And she'd be, yeah. I said, okay. If you win, are you going to be cool about it? She said, yeah. Well, it took time. But as we did that, because she didn't always live up to the word, so okay, next time you can't play. But as we did that, she had fun getting celebrated, and then she found fun in celebrating others. And we've just tried to do that with games, and to a bigger extent, life. So send me Bob. I got you. We'll play Slapjack my way.
My wife put in the chat, Bob needs this one. He's been super whiny about losing. Yeah. Whenever he doesn't get his way lately, he's he automatically, the pitch of his voice becomes a whine, and I'm just like, nope. You can go to your room until you're done whining. I'm not dealing with that.
Yeah, and it takes time. It takes grace and over communicating that they're welcome, but this is a behavior that we expect. It's kind of how we treat society, right? We expect certain behaviors in certain areas, and sometimes there's a reasonable expectations, and sometimes there are not. But I think the movie's A Tree Grew in Brooklyn, but De Niro, I know it's a De Niro character. I think it's that one where he's the father, but he's being asked, is it better to be loved or hated? And he says it's better to be loved. But if you can't be loved, be feared. Because while fear will keep a lot of people in line, ultimately they want to get out from under that pressure. But if you're loved, they'll put their life on the line for you. And then he turned it around and talked about how then you have power over them and you can take stuff away. And I've used that to a little bit with my kids. And in this case with the game, it's like, you want to play, you want to be a part. We want you to be a part, but we're taking away that togetherness because you ruin it for everybody. You're not having fun. We're not having fun. So we're going to choose to have fun.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just, the whole thing is fostering an attitude of never giving up and having a good attitude when you do lose, because not everything in life is going to go your way, period. It's just not. And but in those times it can be hard to focus on the times when it has gone your way. But if you can focus, okay, this is momentary, it will valleys and peaks.
Yeah.
It's momentary. Things will look back up. And yeah, having a positive attitude can change everything. Like even like if you're thinking about your relationships, whether it's your spouse or a friend or something, if you're focusing on what they're not doing that you wish they were, instead of being appreciative for what they are doing, your own mindset, your own subconscious will get rewired if you're focusing on appreciation instead of on the negative. And you can do that with when it comes to losing. If you focus on, like, say you're playing a video game, because one of the things we put on here was games. You may have lost the round, but you can focus, ooh, I got that one hit that was really good, or that one combo that was really good. And you can focus on the aspects that went well, that went in your favor. And that can completely change your overall attitude based on what you're focusing on.
Yeah. Yeah. And that message comes out a lot more when they're teenagers and in sports and those kind of things, for sure. And the modeling, I always try to figure out how I showed them the negative behavior. So I'm not saying it's like they're getting it from somewhere, but I felt like my kids, there were definitely times, I played video games and that real negative energy came out and I'm upset and blaming the game, blaming whatever and being mad. But I tried more to model the good behavior of really hyping up the celebrations when they won, especially if it took them a while, right, to do it. Secondly, to be a funny sore loser every once in a while to call attention to myself or whatever, but mostly to say, hey man, great, that whole thing you want to see, great game, here's how you won, we look at you did it. That's positive affirmations that tend to really do, and then pass it down, like, Crosby, you came in second, man, you're so close, you beat me, man. Or if it's close, like very much like doing fandom face off, Joe, how I'm working the crowd. It's very much like, oh my God, I can't, that kind of thing. And that helped.
You died to Lyme disease.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was getting to. That was so funny too. But it was that grace in letting them have the moment of being upset. And if they give you that indication they want to come back in, acting like it never got upset. Right. Just letting bygones be bygones, kind of saying, like, cool, here's your turn, and just never making a big deal of it if they're putting in those efforts. And I found that helped some with the kids. Same in life, man. My 20-year-old, he was so excited. He finally got an interview with Valvoline. He's been working Waffle House, and he's fine with it. It's decent money. He actually enjoys it okay, but the schedule's up and down. And I get that, they do treat him right. And we all acknowledge how they do the schedule. If he does like 2 days, they'll give him at least a day off before they put him on nights to try to let it swap.
Yeah.
It's not a ton of time, but it's not time. And he's doing that, but it's also his girlfriend's schedule is off of his, so it's making it a little bit harder to hang out. So of course, as any human does, he wants to have a schedule match her. So he got a interview with Valvoline, and it was for this morning. And he talked about it, and he confirmed it. He missed it this morning. He got out to his alarm. I don't know what time it was set for, and it was a Zoom. Yeah, it was a Zoom meeting, and I didn't even realize it was today. Because I would have knocked on his door, checked on him, or whatever. But he came to the house. And he's like, "I'm going to get my oil change." His girlfriend works at an oil change place, so I'm like, "Oh, you get it for free?" And he's like, "No, yeah, I missed the interview." I'm like, and I put the dots together. Oh no, he that night, but in the past, he would have been just like I would have been. He would have been raging. He'd have been upset. I'd have been mad at him, or really mad for him, but it comes out mad at him, and actually probably a little mad at him. But because we've worked on what you were just talking about, Joe, all these things with the patients and the teaching them, he changed his attitude. He lost the round. And he's obviously frustrated, but he's like, yeah, I'm going to try to reschedule, and I just went back to sleep. I don't know what happened. And so Mario Kart came in handy, Joe, is all I'm saying. Oh, one final thing. Don't let your kids win. I mean, boost your confidence sometimes. If you know you can pull back a little bit without them noticing, you're teaching victory. Because if somebody just gets beat down, they want to quit. But the better they got at a game, the more I stopped pulling punches, as it were, right? As I understood how to play it. And Dominion, we've been playing it fairly often, me and the boys. It took Ryland probably 20 games before he beat me once.
Okay.
He's only beat me once. I've literally beat everybody else that I've played with. And it's not because I'm like, I got to beat you. It's like, no, I'm going to play the game. And giving that respect helps them be sore losers because they can win and they know they can win. You know, I reference Mario Kart, but I don't care how good you are at Mario Kart. Sometimes the track just tracks all over your face.
Yep.
You know, things happen.
Yeah. I told my boys, I gave them a monetary incentive that if they beat me at chess, I told them I'm not going to go easy on you. I'm never going to go easy on you. But if you beat me at chess, I'll pay you money. So there was a while there where they were like, Dad, I want to play chess. I want to play chess. And yeah, no, I beat them.
And then they quit playing chess.
Yeah, I haven't played chess with them for a hot minute. But
now the question comes, and I don't know if there's an answer, but the question comes. Did they quit because they saw no hope in winning? Or maybe y'all got busy and they forgot to ask you and you forgot to ask them?
Maybe a little bit of both. Like we stopped because they saw no hope, but they would have picked up again if they had remembered. So
tell a story about Malachi and Smash.
Okay,
It's called Netflix and Smash, but okay, Kelsey.
I had actually put it in Nerding Out, but I've got something else for Nerding Out, so I will talk about it. So my oldest, Malachi, he was talking trash about Smash. He was like, Dad, you can't beat me at Smash. I'm like,
oh, that's when you absolutely don't hold back.
I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, are you sure about that? He's like, yeah. No, I've been playing a ton. And he's played Smash Ultimate way more than I have. But, you know, there's a lot of other Smash games. And so I'm like, okay, I'll play you. And here's what we're going to do so that we get the randomness out of it. No items. We're going to play stock. And there is, I guess, the randomness that we are going to put into it is the stage, because we don't want anyone having a stage that favors them, like picking a stage that favors them. So we're going to do random on the stage. I'm like,
okay.
All right. And so he's like, all right. And I'm like, you still think you can beat me? He's like, yes, I'm going to beat you. Like, all right. So he picks his character and I go over and I put my character as random. And so we get into the game.
Yeah.
And first life. And I tell him this partway through the first life, I'm like, you do realize I'm only using the A button, right? He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm only using the A button right now. And so after I killed him, I'm like, all right, let's add in the B button now. Killed him again. I'm like, all right, now this is your last life. I'm gonna use all the buttons. And he did end up getting one kill on me, but that was it. So we played 3 lives, and I had a random character and he had the character he wanted. And I demolished him.
Yes, glorious. You kind of want to lean over and like, This is how that goat felt in the original Jurassic Park. Yeah.
But yeah,
I've done the
I
one.
don't let them win.
No, I mean, okay, if you're really trying, like, I'm not a chess guy, but we'll use a chess reference. You got to encourage, like, oh, you're getting better. You're definitely, you lasted longer. You know, those are the wins for them. And after this, I beat him at Mario Kart, Kelsey says.
Yep.
But yeah, there's that encouragement, but that's the flip side. They get big for they want to do the, are you sure you want to do that, sir? It's like, let's put some money on that kind of deal. I did the whole Mario Kart thing where I didn't even look at the TV. I just stared at Ryland and I beat him. You know, and sometimes you got to break their spirit to build them back up as stronger warriors. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, they get a little big for their britches. That's for sure.
Yeah, man. All right, roll some dice.
All right.
What are you nerding out about?
Oh,
Stay tuned for this commercial break.
I was on the wrong dial.
All right. Fine. Let's see. Okay. That's some chill music. Look, if you're tired of your kids sassing you about Mario Kart or that you embarrassed them at their sleepover, just lock the doors. Go to Taco Bell. We got you on the cravings menu, baby. Come on. Get your ball blast.
Since they're locked in their room, after you're done there, you can just go hotbox them.
Or you know what? You go to patreon.com/wise_n_nerdy and join our community, catch the Patreon stuff, which let me tell you, I had to go back and make sure I listened to all of the Patreon stuff because there's some stories there that are nowhere else. It's a lot of extra great content. And Joe really does have some extreme political beliefs, so go listen to that. So, all right, we're going to chill for a second. We're going to come back and talk about the voicemails.
Yeah. This makes me think of Donkey Kong Country for some reason.
What part of chill do you not understand? Now all I can see is the stupid minecart from Donkey Kong. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Just try to meditate for just a second, and I get Donkey Kong Country Returns. So, man, you know what? We're going to play some. Actually, I think we don't have speak pipes tonight, but if we did, we get them from wiseandnerdy.com/calldad, and you can have your voice on the show and chill out with us. Casey, we haven't heard from you in forever, sir. Miss you. And we're looking for the lady daddies out there. We're looking for the strong women who want to give their mom guidance on some of this stuff to call in and let us know. But not you, Kelsey. You got your one this month.
And real quick, before we go on to what the next question of the week is, before I forget, because we said we would do this a couple of weeks, there is the GoFundMe set up for Kurt's wife. So it's gofund.me / and all of these are lowercase, the letters are lowercase,
Sure.
D820E0FC. And that will be in the show notes as well.
Yep.
And yeah, we'll probably do it one more week because I actually don't know how long the GoFundMe goes for. I'd have to take a look, but goes to a good cause. So
Yeah. And there's some family stuff going on next month with that as well. But definitely connect up there. So, yeah, what else we got? What's going on in the show? Oh, you know what? Before you talk about the question, what are we doing in 2 weeks?
we are going to Atlanta Comic Convention, Atlantic Comic Con.
Yeah.
Atlantic, not Atlantic. Atlanta.
Atlanta.
The Atlantic City. We're gonna go play at the casinos and have a convention. It'll be great.
You would burst into flames. I mean, you were steaming when I drug you through the liquor store. So I'm not taking you to the casino, sir. There's no such thing as holy rollers. Okay.
And just by walking into that liquor store, I got so many ads on Facebook for moonshine after that.
I got none. no ads for Facebook at all.
And it was
so
it was literally the exact moonshine you purchased too.
That's
I got
hilarious.
for that brand.
Yeah,
I got ads for it. I was
that's
like,
funny.
yeah, and they try to claim that the phone isn't listening to you, which actually, if I remember correctly, Facebook wasn't the one listening to you, but they had a subsidiary that listened to you, so they could legally
Probably.
state we weren't listening to you, but our subsidiary was listening to you to give you targeted ads, like something like that.
A tape of your voice fell off the back of a truck. What do you want us to do? You know, we're protecting your data because we couldn't leave it just lying in the street like that. We had to protect it for you. Then we had to listen to it to make sure it was you. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, Atlanta Comic Convention. I do hate that things have to change.
Too. I got you. Atlanta.
Joe, I don't even have words for you anymore, man. You're just what is it about the long weekend that's got you so ADHD hyped? Because that's exactly what your wife said. Your ADHD is not her responsibility because you're so excited about the weekend.
That is what she said. That is what she said. It's true.
So what is it? All right. Question of the week. Jump.
We just get to blow stuff up.
Okay. Okay.
The question of the week for July 24th, which if you are in Utah is Pioneer Day, is what is your favorite book series? Which I thought would be a good week to do that because Charles will be gone, and we all know he doesn't read. But Bob Magoo will be on the show.
Bobby.
So I imagine he'll have some good input on his favorite book series.
Yeah. I've read. It was a while back. I read Anne McCafferty, the Dragon Riders of Pern, and those kind of stuff. I read Lion Pride.
He read the Bible, or he would get smacked with a ruler growing up. You know.
No. You ever go to Six Flags in the 80s and 90s? They had a place called Thunder River, and you could buy a big wooden paddle that's about that thick, good 2 inches thick, because it's a miniature version of the paddles they had at the time on the Thunder River. That was used as the spank me paddle. So, but yes, I've read all the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. They go to Canada and something happens. And Rogue Warrior, the Rogue Warrior series. I've read a lot of those. So there, sir.
Yeah. And Redwall was good. I liked Redwall. That's all.
Okay. I don't know what Redwall is.
You don't know what Redwall is?
No.
It's all of the characters are anthropomorphic animals. Like the main character is a mouse, and Redwall is an abbey. It's a fun book
read
series.
Flowers for Algernon. I'm good, man.
Okay.
That's a hard one. If you haven't read that one, don't go read that one.
Hey, there you go. We got it just for you.
What are you nerding out about now?
Well, Charles, what
I
are
get to
you
go
nerding
first.
out about?
I have two things as well. But the new game on mobile is Marvel Mystic Mayhem. And it's funny that Kurt's come up, 2 or 3 times tonight with the voices. Because I actually thought about him yesterday because Stash has gotten back into doing the free stocks on Wednesdays, and whoever would get to it first would text the other one, he and I, and say stocks. Or a lot of times he'd say stonks, STONKS. And I don't know.
It's the
It was
meme.
weird. Yeah, I know. But he just randomly do it. It's like, if you don't put the actual meme up, Kurt, it's not the same. But so that popped up yesterday. And then he would be all over this game, right? It's a new Marvel game. It's called Mystic Mayhem. It is more of a strategy game instead of like the 3-on-3 battles that happen in most of the Marvel games right now, where it's or 5-on-5, where it's just a back and forth who can punch somebody faster kind of thing. It's one of I know you've played games like it, Joe. It's a progressive level to where put your team together as a team of 3, and of course everybody has classes, basic versions of classes and strengths and weaknesses and whatever. And you go and you fight some enemies, and once you clear that, they automatically run to the next section of the level, and you start fighting enemies, and then they run, and everything's on a timer, so you get energy building up to pick the attacks you're going to do, and you have ultimate attacks that build up. I love the artwork that they're doing with it in this one. Hulk is very, very good. You know, I'm going for, and they give you him first. They had me at hello. I'm not gonna lie. When they were using him in the ad, and then you load the game, and he's major part of the video. No, Iron Man is one of the superior characters. Well, fine, whatever. Hulk is being mistreated yet again because he's inferior, but that's fine. I get to play with him. He's very viable, very, very strong, and
so I'm looking up some of the pictures. Does he have like Maori tattoos?
Basically, it has to do with the nightmare escape and runes, basically, to keep them protected. So they've made up a story, which sometimes the games get to do. They don't always get to do this.
And he's got like Winter Soldier hair.
That's almost Maestro. It's they did borrow from some of the Hulks, because he also speaks somewhat intelligently. It's not like clear. He still has a Hulk voice, but it's not Hulk angry. It's, I'm going to smash the puny humans that get in my way. I mean, it's very clear. So they definitely use some amalgamations, but they made him nice and large, very muscular. He immediately has a heel to him. It's he has strength enhancing properties, those kind of things, and you get to pick and have some strategy of which attacks you're going to use, and it's a lot of fun. And I've been unlocking all the extra, because it's again one of those, as you level up progressions. I'm at level 30. And I'm still unlocking things as far as this kind of battle or that kind of battle. I don't like PvP, but they have a version that's actually a lot of fun. You get a roulette of characters to start with, and they are all diamond level 1. You get up to 4 diamonds on each card. And you get an assortment of the attack versus the range versus the guard, characters. But it's from every character in the game right now. You just get an assortment, and so does your opponent. And it may or may not be the same assortment, but it's all the same level. So you go in and you pick out, you don't see what they're picking, and you pick out who you're going to put in, and the levels change. You start with a round level, but then you get a level with 2 different rows and a wall. So if you don't have a flyer or a jumper, you're not getting over that wall. So you got to pick where you put your 3 characters. And I didn't think I'd like it, because you're playing live with somebody. Like, they picked out their people, and then it's just like Beyblade. You rip it and you watch to see who wins, kind of deal. It's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun.
And it's mobile only right now?
I believe so.
Okay.
I didn't honestly check. When I say, they call it pre-order still, but even if you're not paying for it, it's a free app. But I pre-ordered it, so it pre-installed. So like midnight the night that it came out, it dropped, and it was already on my phone when I got it the next morning. And I don't get to play it as much as I want, because there's a little bit of
is it still
focus
considered to be in a beta state, or is it officially released?
No, this is straight off of it came off of the iOS store, and it was on the release date that was advertised on TikTok or wherever I saw it.
Okay, so it's like brand new.
Yeah, it's only been out a week, maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it. Because
with mobile games, a lot of them tend to be rather transient. Do you think this one has staying power, or do you think it'll be maybe a few years and be done?
That actually is a very good question. It has the potential to have staying power, because at its heart, it's very close to an RPG, where you're leveling up characters, you're leveling up equipment, you're ranking up characters, you're ranking up the skills and unlocking a few other skills on a tree that lets you do more stuff in battle. And so you have a bunch of opportunities to add new characters. You have a bunch of opportunities to add new levels to every card. It's not cards. It's not like a playing card game, but the characters are in square icons. So to me, in my mind, because I play a lot of Balatro still, they're cards. So keep that in mind. It's not a card game, but I might call it a card. So every character card that you have, if you will, you can do so much more with it by opening up things. There's no need for uh, costumes, but they could do that, and that always keeps people
Yeah,
going.
cosmetics. I mean,
Cosmetics, yeah.
they probably will put in cosmetics because it's a relatively
Yeah.
easy money for games.
And because they got to, I'm not super versed. This is obviously where Kurt would chime in. I don't believe, I've never heard of this story being done before. And it's, I cannot remember the god of the nightmare world, but something happens because these stories aren't super deep for me. I don't play for the story necessarily. I play for the graphics and the character interaction and what I can do with them. But basically, Doctor Strange is doing something with Scarlet Witch, and Hulk gets involved, and Moon Knight, and something with the Nightmare World. But then Hulk gets kicked out, and Moon Knight and Scarlet Witch are trapped in the Nightmare World. The whole point is, if they're from the books, you still have a lot to pull from, but they're basically, I think, making up their own villains and their own weird world to go into, because you're in I just lost Doctor Strange's house. Sanctum Sanctorum.
Yeah, the Sanctum
So
Sanctorum.
he has a magical device that lets us go back and forth into the nightmare world, but you have to have so much energy to do that. It takes, because it's a magical spell, it takes materials, so that limits you to how much you can play a day, kind of deal. It does have microtransactions. I spent $1 on the first day. It was 99 cents for Bloodshot, I think. So I got not Bloodshot. I can't remember her name. But it's Lady Bullseye. No,
Lady
I am
Bullseye?
so sorry. On this show, we haven't talked games in forever, Joe. People may not know who are new listeners. I'm horrible with a lot of the character names. But it's actually, I didn't even realize, it's actually the corrupted version of her. So it's the nightmare version. So I bought a villain, and instantly she was very viable right next to Hulk. And so you feel like you're not just walking over the tutorial, but you're also not super challenged by it. You feel like you're growing in strength as you're learning the game. So that $1 is worth it. They've been trying to sell me Scarlet Witch, I think it is, for $14.99. I'm like, nah. Not because I'm sure she's worth it. Everybody in the game so far has been pretty decent, and there's just different styles, right, of play, and everybody has their own little different thing. Like Armor is a big guardian like Hulk, but instead of having the strength that he has, she has armor, so you can do that, and then you'll see a big gray bar go up on her health, and until that bar gets knocked down, she's not taking any hits. So there's just different kind of play styles there.
Yeah, I'm looking through a lot of the different characters now. Were you talking about Angela?
No, I have her too. She was actually
Okay.
created for one of the other games I used to play. I believe she was a new character created for that game, and then she got into the comic books. No,
Yeah, they've got a bunch here that I
it looks
haven't
like
heard
a
of.
ninja lady with like a red sword and a Japanese sun on her white hair.
Okay.
You know what? I'll fire up the game here in a second. I'll tell you, because it's bugging us both. But yeah, dude, and I think if any of that sounded a little bit interesting to you, you'll probably actually love the game. Because I try to give my reviews on what I like and not tell people what they're gonna like. But yeah, I'm telling you, I'm killing my battery, and I've got an iPhone 16, and I'm killing my battery playing this game, because you can do some set it and forget it. There definitely gets to the point where you can do some auto battles on things, but just like any other game, there's those stop gaps. So the auto battle will play, but then you still got to go send them into the next thing. Let me get to my characters. Oh, I got Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. I pulled her early. I love that character set. They're some of my favorites, and their artwork is phenomenal. Okay,
Devil Dino looks pretty cool.
Lady Bullseye. That's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay. Apparently, the Wikipedia that I'm looking at must not be up to date.
Okay.
Because I don't see, at least among the featured characters, I do not see.
Well, and she's a villain, so she might not be featured. 'Cause I know Bullseye in the movie.
Yeah, they do have some more characters down below. I was just assuming it was one of the main characters, not a villain. Got it.
Thread is a villain. I've never heard of Thread before.
Yeah, there's quite a few characters where I'm like, okay, I've heard of these, but then there's a bunch I'm like, who?
Yeah, Sleepwalker's really cool. He's part of the Dream Police because whatever happened, tried to escape into our universe essentially,
Mm.
but Sleepwalker came in and helped protect the dreams of humans because Nightmare was going to take him over and just destroy everything, whatever, blah blah blah. And so that's the big bad, right? That's what we're trying to stop. And that's what the runes are for. Because even if you're awake, if you're not protected, he can take over your dreams, and he corrupts you. And so Juggernaut was one of the first big villains I had to fight, and he's tough. I just beat him, and by beating him, I got him. So that was unexpected.
There you go.
So he's now on my roster.
Yeah, because Juggernaut, at least the different versions that I've seen, he's not a hero, but he's not like an outright villain. He just kind of does what he wants to do.
Yeah, he likes to destroy things. So
Yeah.
the other quick thing I wanted to nerd out about, and then we got to I think that's an anime that we got there coming to you. There's a site I'm on now called Wyzant, WYZANT. I believe
Wise and nerdy.
Ha! Well, kind of, because it's tutoring. And I got accepted to tutor on 3 topics: EMS, National Registry, EMT, so I can help you pass your class or your National Registry EMT test. I'm focusing on EMTR, EMT, and advanced EMTs. Even though I am a paramedic, it's been a long time since I've dealt with the paramedic information, so I'm not comfortable. I've been teaching A and below, so I'm tutoring there. And I already got 3 applications for clients there, so I'm very happy because that's a breath of relief. I told you, Joe, a little before the show, some of what I'm having to do right now. But today, I've been working it the last couple of days, getting everything set up, going through the process. And today, I got fully approved, and I went ahead and applied for 3 clients because they can find me. But until I really start teaching people and getting reviews, I'm not that popular. But I can also go find where people are posting that they need help. I got approved to do public speaking, like tutoring you on how to public speak and get better, and on the interview process. Well, I definitely can't help your resume because it's a 1,000 resume society now. I can indeed teach you how to get that, and once you get that interview, how to land that interview and coach people that way. So those are the 3 topics I get to teach on, and it is under Charles McFall there. And I think my tiny URL is it's tinyurl.com/Charles Tutors. And but if you go to Wyzant, I love it. It's WYZANT.com and look me up. I'm here to help. And if you know anybody who needs help in any of those topics, I got reasonable rates and I work with you. And if you mention you listen to Wise and Nerdy, I got even better rates for you. They double, but that's okay. So Joe,
Interesting.
Hopefully I'll in the next few months live in the way of kings, but I mean that realistically and historically. What do you mean the way of kings?
The Way of Kings is not an anime. The Way of Kings,
I'm disappointed actually.
is a book by Brandon Sanderson. Good old Brando Sando. So this is actually one of his early books that for a long time he didn't publish. He had tried to get it. I don't know. Anyway, he returned back to it, and a lot of authors, they don't return back to they call them trunk books because their writing style evolves and changes as they go along. And so books that don't get published, they leave them there and never talk about them again. They're discarded stepchildren. Well, he decided this one had potential, and he went back and completely reworked it.
All right.
and has posted it and published it. And I listened to the audiobook over the past couple of weeks, and it was very good. But it is not for the faint of heart. It is a 45-hour audiobook.
Nice.
So yeah, no, it is a big one. It's a big boy. And it has a lot of world building, especially towards the beginning before it really gets into the meat of everything. And so it's a bit of a slower burn. But in my opinion, it's worth it. It centers around a character. I mean, it's got several different viewpoint characters, but the main character is a slave. He was made into a slave because he was labeled as a deserter from the army,
Mm.
and um, he gets bought by the army, and they make him into a bridge runner. And so what the bridge runners do is they carry these heavy bridges to these chasms where the army is going to be fighting, and they have to get their bridges in place so that the cavalry and all the other soldiers
Sure,
can
yeah.
go across and fight the other army. But what ends up happening is a lot of the bridge runners die because the enemy are shooting them so they can't get their bridges set up.
Yeah, of course. Right.
And so there's a high turnover rate. There
Benefits aren't great either.
no, they're not. And so
Although acupuncture is free.
yeah. But it's this very interesting world. There is tidbits of magic and ancient lost arts for making magic gear, magic armor, and so one of the things that's common throughout is if you have some of this magic armor or magic weaponry, then you basically have your life made. But the only way to get that magic gear is to kill someone who has it and take it. So getting it in the first place is near impossible for a normal person. But yeah, so it focuses a lot on him, and there's a couple other side stories along the way. And the title, A Way of Kings, is actually a reference to a book in the universe that an ancient king had written on the different codes that a king should live up to, the way a king should live their life. So talking about like during wartime, you should always be ready in your armor. You shouldn't get drunk, and you should always be ready to fight, during wartime. And there's a lot of chivalrous armor or chivalry about your attitude that you should have, and making sure that you are an honorable person and things like that. And most of the people mock the codes. They don't live them, but there's a few characters who are coming back to the codes, and they're seen as very old fashioned and things like that. And so you've got that going on with the Way of Kings. And yeah, no, it's very good. It's got some very interesting world building aspects. Like once women reach a certain age, they're not supposed to show their left hand. Like it's considered scandalous.
Okay.
So he just kind of threw that in there, but he works it into their society. And so some women will cover their hand up with a glove, but there's those that look down on them because you can still see the outline of their glove. So
it's like yoga pants for your hand.
Yeah. And so most women will actually have their sleeves sewn shut on their left hand because they're not supposed to show their left hand.
Sure.
And yeah, so it plays into it. It doesn't really give a reason why, but I mean, there's a lot of, in our own society, different traditions that don't necessarily make a lot of sense, but that's the way people have always done it, type of thing. And so it's got some interesting world building from that. And there's one point where the main character sees a woman with her hand exposed, and he turns away. He's like, how scandalous. and yeah, so it's a good read if you're willing to put in the time for it. I've listened to it on the Libby app. Love the Libby app, and I have put the next two books on hold. I'd have to look up. It's the overall series is called the Stormlight Archive. I want to say I think he's planning on 10 books total.
Okay.
And he's got 5 out so far. Now I could be wrong on the total, but I want to say what I heard was 10 total. And theoretically, these are all going to end up interconnecting with some of his other books because they are part of his overarching Cosmere. That's so he's got various worlds, different worlds that are technically in the same universe. And in some of the books, you have seen people travel between the worlds. There wasn't any of that in this first book here that I identified. But there were some people with some weird powers that maybe they were from another world, and I just haven't read the book that's on that world to identify those specific powers that are, those are from that world. Because that has happened. Like I was reading one of the Mistborn books, and they explicitly stated, okay, no, this group of people they're all from different worlds and things like that. And so he develops some very unique magic systems, and this one does not disappoint with that either.
I don't know, Joe. I don't think you like it. You really aren't saying much about it. You're just kind of one or two wording it here or there. I mean, obviously, it's great. You are a Brando Sando fando.
Yes, I am.
And I just accidentally made that up. I have not been sitting on that for the last 10 minutes.
Oh,
but that sounds cool.
I need to get my wife into it. She's got.
Honestly, it sounds like he'd be a great anime.
So maybe, but the thing is with Brandon Sanderson, because he's super wealthy already, he is very picky about adaptations. He's had people buy the rights to the Mistborn, which is one of his early books, a couple of different times, and they've gotten as far as pre-production at least once. But in those contracts, he has a lot of say on how it's developed.
Good.
Because he is not, and I don't blame him. He's not willing to let them do an unfaithful adaptation. Like he has gone out and hired someone to do the screenwriting, and like, so he's got it all prepped and ready. But he wants pretty close to, I don't think full creative control, but pretty close to full creative control and final say.
Yeah.
So
I get that. Yeah, one of my favorite authors, Dean Koontz. I love his books, and he has a real heart to what he does and a real human aspect to it. But all the movies, there's been multiples made of his books. The people who licensed it didn't understand the purpose of the book. And even though on some of the sets he was a part of it and he was influencing it, as somebody who loves his books, watching those movies, most of the time, like, it just doesn't have the heart that the book has. Not that the book's better. Yeah. It just lacks the heart. It's almost always superficial about, because all his books have some kind of version of a monster or some supernatural something going on, but that's never what the story really is about. And it's more of a catalyst to what the story is about. But the movies are just monster movies for the most part.
Yep.
So yeah. So very cool, man. Very cool. Do you think? I think I heard Brandon Sanderson's coming to Dragon Con. Yeah, I haven't checked the list. I thought I heard. I don't know.
Well,
I'm trying to get
if he is, I'm definitely going to go to that panel.
Yeah, so I was going to ask if you were. I might be mixing him up with Matt Dinniman or some other people. Let me tell you, the biggest nerds at Dragon Con are the book nerds, and I hear so many names from Siska and Tyra, and I go to these Dragon Con meetings, and everybody's just a huge book nerd, and I'm like, okay, I recognize Thrawn. I recognize that kind of. Okay, Dinniman, he's Minecraft Carl whatever guy. Cool. I don't know that one. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I just sit back and let him nerd out on books. So I thought I might have heard Brandon, but I might have mixed him up with somebody else. I'm assuming you're on DragonCon.org right now.
I'm doing a bit of searching to see if he's on the guest list, but I will find out.
But that would be you answered the question I was going to ask, is if you would be going.
I see there's an artist that does covers for Brandon Sanderson, but
Maybe
it doesn't
that's
look.
what I
I
thought
don't
it
see
was.
Brandon Sanderson listed, at least yet.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still announcing people, but he's not on the list at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe he's an artist. I don't know. You know me. I can't even mess up Jigglypuff's name because I remember Jigglypuff. I was going to try to mess it up, but typically I can't remember the names of Lady Jigglypuff or whatever it is. All right. So we're at Daddy Tell Me a Story.
Yes, we are. And you put this one in.
I did, because I'd like to actually introduce a whole new segment called Let's Get Real for a Minute.
Let's get real for a minute.
Because this pod marriage is not in a good place right now. You know, you don't notice the effort I put in for you. You act like I take you for granted. You had one date. Phil Keating showed up. 20 minutes in, y'all having a great conversation.
You need to close this marriage. You're done with the open marriage.
22 minutes in,
marriage.
Joe just ran. Nothing led into it. Nothing triggered it. Just a little bit of about 10 seconds of silence, and Joe just randomly goes, Charles promised that we're going to have like a logo in January, but this and that. And Phil's like, well, bud, things have happened since. It's like, yeah, he just overpromises. And then Phil says, you're like, Charles is always overpromising. Then Phil says, man, you know this. You've worked with him for years, which, by the way, forget both of you guys, because I was trying to let you and Kurt especially, love you, Kurt, but I was trying to get you more involved with the show. And he said, guys, where do you want to go with this? I don't want to dictate another logo. Let's do this together. So it wasn't just me overpromising. I was trying to get you guys going. Finally, we got Audie. Audie's been fantastic. Audie's on the final version right now. Audie listens to the show, and it's going to come on the show.
So about January, we'll get it. It'll be great.
Look, something did happen when we were at the end of the process, Joe. All right. Look, I went so far. I kid you not. I went so far as to reach out to Stephen Adams. And then, you know what? Better yet, I'm bringing in our professional pod marriage counselor, Brian Ibbett. And we just couldn't get our schedules. Otherwise, I wouldn't be reading this list of things you said. I'd be having my therapy session with therapist Brian without you and just playing the bit.
He's too busy on his bike.
So Phil jumps on your bandwagon, says you've been working with me for 10 years, and you sounded so disappointed. So disappointed that you worked with him for 10 years. I swear to you guys, patreon.com. Joe goes, I know. I'm like, oh my God. Why? All I do is talk you up, especially when you're gone. I'm like, man, Joe's the best at this. Joe was telling me this the other day on the show. Joe is when you're gone. But when I'm gone, let's have a pod party, people, and do cocaine and talk about vasectomies and trash Charles. You hurt my feelings, man. Look, no. Then you started talking about the clips. No, I do. I have notes. You started talking about the clips. You're like, when I brought it up, Charles was like, no, I don't know. And he goes, well, I don't need your permission. You go, I don't need your permission. I'm going to do it. I'm like, I never said you needed my permission. Not ever. In fact, I'm like, Joe, what would you like to do? Joe, how would you like to spend this money? Joe, what should we do? And through the years, you've shown me what you care about and what you don't. When you brought up the clips, Kelsey's texting me like, preach, brother. She's right here with me. All right. When you brought up the clips to me, it's not my word. I was like, I don't know. I was truthful. I didn't I don't know. I don't think you should do it, Joe. I was like, I don't know. And I'm going to do it. Cool, man. Cool.
I'm just going to say, we have over 500 videos on the Clips channel now.
It's amazing. I talk about what an amazing job you do. I like and share. I give you every time. Dude, y'all don't know this, but I know this. he followed up with the clips for Dad Bod Veteran and made sure to send it to the agent. I'm like, man, you're doing such a good job, dude. And I just positivity and reinforcement. And then Joe goes, I just do it and I tell him to get in line. What is that? What, Bob? What, Bob? You're not getting your way? What, Bob? Tell me, tell me to get in line. There's no line. We always work together, and you're talking like we're fighting. I'm crying, Joe. What is going on in our pod marriage? But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. If you buy now, you can get
Then,
another 500 videos on the WNN Clips channel.
I made sure to share the coolest. No offense to all of our friends, you guys are cool,
Yep.
but to get the coolest intro from the coolest guests we've had so far. Right? We got, as soon as I cut it, I send it to you. It comes up, and you're like, "Oh, about time!" Charles stuck me with just this one. I was trying to be a part of our team. I gave you my voice because I thought you'd play it and miss it when I was going.
Yep.
What is this, Joe?
Yep.
What do I keep on my board all the time?
Stop with hippity dippity.
Years.
Yep.
Years. This button has been here. And you can't play my intro. Kelsey, we're going to have a prayer circle, Kelsey. Come on. Kumbaya, my Lord. Kumbaya. Because, oh my God. But when you said to get in line, like, Joe, then you end the show with Charles as a jerk. I did nothing but set you up for success. Why are you throwing this marriage away?
Phil brings out an interesting side of
What?
me.
He did nothing at that point except accuse you of taking cocaine and saying the world doesn't need any more arts. So maybe he did. Maybe you felt bad because you don't know how to handle the hobgoblin and he got to you. But don't take it out on me. I'm your loving and loyal partner here.
Okay.
What do you have to say for yourself? Yeah, all right. That's what he has to say for himself right there. Okay. Oh, my God, Kelsey. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Joe?
Get in line.
Oh. Oh, my God.
Follow these nerdy dads on social media. Charles at Rock God of Podcasting. Joe at Joseph_Ard. Check out the website, risingnerdy.com. And as always, they may not be your father, but they'll always be your daddy.
Hey, Charles.
You should be in bed.
And Joe, if she serves you with papers, I'm on Team Kelsey.
Hi.
Okay, that never. Those Donkey Kong mine carts aren't for the weak.